On today's live daily news, Angelo State University is getting a new golf complex thanks to a huge donation. We'll have details. Border Patrol agents arrest several illegals in Tom Green County, and a man is arrested for murder in the shooting death of his ex-wife in Abilene. Those stories and more. I'm James Bellini, and this is Live. We'll get to the news in a minute, but first, need a new or improved driveway? How's your parking lot, your ranch road? Now's the time to get it repaved. Angelo-based Mac Asphalt and Paving is ready to get to work for you right now. Go to macasphaltandpaving.com and request a free, no-obligation quote. They're offering heavily discounted repaving and paving packages right now. If you've been thinking about paving your driveway, parking lot, or ranch road, get a quick turnaround quote while you can save a whole lot. Do so by going to macasphaltandpaving.com. Kicking off the news, Angelo State University has received a whopping $5.2 million gift to build a golf complex on the east side of the campus near Foster Field. According to ASU and anonymous donors, huge gift will fund a 3,600 square foot golf building, 6 artificial turf greens with real sand traps, swing simulators, hitting bays, and a lot more. Read more on sanangelo.live.com. And the Border Patrol agents arrested 7 illegal aliens in Tom Green County on Monday. The 7 foreigners are being held without bond pending transfer to a federal facility. There's more on that story in the daily booking report on San Angelo Live. Speaking of, have you downloaded the new San Angelo Live mobile app yet? It's now available on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, so all iPhone and Android users can have the latest news stories delivered directly to their phones. That's the all-new San Angelo Live mobile app, available now. A 67-year-old Abilene man was arrested and charged with murder in the shooting death of his ex-wife. According to Abilene police, Floyd Lane Hardison allegedly shot his ex-wife to death and injured her sister. Read more on sanangelo.live.com. In local crime news, a San Angelo man accused of revenge porn has a jury trial date. 47-year-old Andreas Andrade is accused of creating fake profiles on Facebook and Instagram of his ex-girlfriend and posting compromising photos of her. He is also accused of harassing the victim's family and her friends. Turning to weather, it'll be sunny and warm on Wednesday with temperatures reaching the upper 80s before clouds roll in with a cold front Thursday afternoon. Rain chances begin then with a 20% chance on Thursday, increasing Thursday night, and a 70% chance of thunderstorms on Friday. That chance of rain lingers throughout the weekend. When we come back, we'll have sports with Ryan Chadwick, but first, a word from the Bass Bunch.
2024 means savings galore at Jim Bass Mazda. Why not drive off our lot in a new 2024 Mazda CX-30, priced right at just $28,999. While you're here, be sure to ask about 2.9% APR financing for 72 months. This SUV has earned a top safety pick, which gives you peace of mind. Hurry, these are limited offers, and you can only get these deals at Jim Bass Mazda at the corner of Houston Hart and Arden Road, or shop 24/7 at bassbunch.com.
We have exciting news out of the Lone Star Conference this week, as the conference named Angelo State's Alizea Gutierrez with Pitcher of the Week honors for his performance over the weekend against Oklahoma Christian. Gutierrez pitched in the Rams' 3-0 win in Game 2 last Saturday. He compiled 12 strikeouts, 1 hit, and no runs in the outing. The Rams return to action on Friday on the road against St. Mary's. In other sports news, the Angelo State Bells softball team began a midweek 3-game LSC series against Texas A&M Kingsville this afternoon. The Bells started a doubleheader at 4 p.m. today, and we will have one more game tomorrow at noon. Come out to Mayer Field to cheer on the Ram Bells as they continue to pursue a conference championship. And for more sports around the Concho Valley and beyond, be sure to check in every day at sanangelolive.com/news/sports.
This month only, mix and match cleaning and disinfecting services and save big with Carpetech. For example, get your carpet clean, save 10%. Get your carpet and tile clean, save 15%. Or get your carpet and tile and air ducts clean, save 20%. Call Carpetech today, 325-735-5142.
If your home is in a wreck, call Carpetech, yeah.
Well, hello, welcome back. I'm Joe Hyde. I'm the publisher and founder of San Angelo Live. And every newscast, we try to bring in an interesting interview. And of course, today is no different. I have with me Congressman Tony Gonzalez. Now, just let me talk a little bit, and I'll kind of introduce this. Tony and I go back a long way. I came out of Del Rio, but he represents Congressional District 23, which is kind of a weird bird. If you want to think about it, it spans from outskirts of San Antonio, or actually parts of San Antonio suburbs, all the way to the outskirts of El Paso, and includes a lot of the places, the hot spots in today's national debate about gun control. We have the tragic incident in your district in Uvalde. And also right now, the big heat is the border, which it seems like every year we have either Del Rio or Eagle Pass flare up as kind of like ground zero of the war on the border. I wouldn't call it a war because we're not really fighting, but the invasion. Right. Some people call it the invasion. But sure. Tony, tell me a little bit about yourself and just if I missed anything about your district, because these guys in San Angelo, they need to understand what's going on south of them.
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me on. It's great to see you again. I think I was here when I first ran the very first time.
Man, you had $100 in your bank account.
We were going everywhere. And you know what? That same style we've never shied away from that. I'm in 8 counties today. We started out in El Dorado, and then we'll go to Kermit and Monahans and Pecos and
in a car.
Stockton. Yep, just driving around.
Do you have a Tesla?
No, I don't have a Tesla, but I need.
If you had a Tesla, I wonder if you could recharge it along this route out here in your district.
I bet you if I asked Elon to let me borrow one of his cyber trucks and I put a Tony Gonzalez for Congress, that'd get a lot of views.
You and Elon have become friends.
We have. Matter of fact, yesterday I tweeted a picture. I hosted him in Eagle Pass.
Okay.
And we were there. It was a great day. I got him in front of sheriffs and mayors and ranchers. And I
county judges,
Democrats and Republicans. I didn't stack the deck, and I just said, "Hey, tell him the ground truth." And of course, in a very Elon style, he gets his phone out and he goes, "We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this live," and that thing got 110 million views.
Wow.
Those weren't Fox watchers and those weren't CNN watchers, just everyday people. And that's what I've tried to do with this border crisis.
Those are Tucker Carlson numbers.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. So him and I have been good friends yesterday.
So what is he like? What is he like?
He's so I pick him up in Eagle Pass at the airport, and he's coming in. I'm waiting on him. And the guy goes, I don't know, the guy that runs the airport, he goes, I don't know who you're meeting, Tony. I know him really well. But the guy is in a G450. And I go, is that good? He goes, I've never seen a G450. He goes, let's just say governors fly around in a G200. And so he gets down, and he gets off this G50, and I go, Elon, you're going from a G450 to an F-150. And we get in my pickup truck.
So it's just you and Elon?
Just me and Elon in the pickup truck. And we drive to Eagle Pass. And on my Twitter page, Tony Gonzalez for Texas, is a video of him and I just having a conversation. And he goes, walk me through what's happening. I go, this is a problem. Everyone's coming over, and we are deporting 0 people back. He goes, 0? I go, 0. He goes, well, this is the issue. So him and I have become real good friends. Matter of fact, yesterday I tweeted.
Well, let's get there. Yeah. We're deporting 0 people.
0 people.
So basically, the Border Patrol is the welcoming committee.
Sadly.
And then they take them to some tent called Camp Firefly, walk them through and hand them a court date and say, see you in 5 years?
Yeah, if that. And so what has happened is, and this is very systematic, Joe, Joe Biden has turned the Border Patrol agency from a law enforcement agency into basically the last chain in this human smuggling crisis. And these Border Patrol agents, they don't want to be processing. They want to be back out in the field. They want to do their job. So one of the things that we've been pushing for is exactly that. And what happens is when you have, this is the secret sauce. You want this to go away, this is how it needs to go away. And every president has done this. Bush, Clinton, Obama, Trump, all of them have done this exact same thing. If you do not qualify for asylum, you get deported back to your country of origin. You don't get sent to Chicago. You don't get sent to LA. You don't get sent to Martha's Vineyard, as fun as that was.
Right.
You get sent back to your country of origin. You do that a little bit, and it all goes away. Remember the Haitians? Remember the Haitians under the bridge?
I heard they only deported out of the 15,000 Haitians under the bridge in Del Rio. This is in 2021.
Yep.
I heard they only deported about 350, 400 of them.
That's right. That's right. I was there. So there's no end in sight. All these Haitians coming, and then all of a sudden they started deporting people back to Haiti, just a little bit, and it stopped. Why? Well, people don't realize.
They don't want to play Russian roulette?
Well, what people didn't realize, these Haitians, they had already left Haiti years ago. They were living in Chile, and they were living in Peru. They were living in South America.
They just took this opportunity to come on north.
That was it. They go, oh, now's the time to go to the United States. And so then all of a sudden we start deporting them back to Haiti, and they're like, whoa, wait, I'm not from Haiti. I'm from these other places. That's all. That's the secret sauce. That's what Joe Biden has done. He's done it before. And this is what I said. What if I told you it's an election year, and all of a sudden Joe Biden is going to start to vamp up some of the border security stuff?
Right.
We're already seeing some of it kind of
There's
go
an
down Texas a little bit.
expert on the border security named Todd Bensman, and we ran a story from Todd Bensman last week. He said one of the things and he was talking about in the piece was that Biden administration officials went to Mexico, went to Mexico City, talked to the president of Mexico, and said, "You need to stop this."
Yep.
And so Mexico is actually right now internally moving people from these border cities like Piedras Negras, Acuña, Reynosa, Juarez. They're moving them back down to I guess there's 3 or 4 cities on the southern border of Mexico.
Sure.
So they're deporting them inside Mexico right now, getting away from the border. But that's only because Biden administration people finally got there in December. I think it was December 23rd of 2023, and kind of made this deal.
I was in Mexico City about 3 weeks ago, and I visited with the president of Mexico, and I visited with the 2 leading candidates that are going to replace him for 6 years.
Right.
I was in Mexico before that 10 months ago. Mexico is critical to all of this. It was critical to remain in Mexico. The only reason the remain in Mexico policy worked is because people were terrified of Trump, and Mexico basically got in line. So you need to have them. So what I told them,
no one is scared of this president we have now.
Oh, of course not. No.
I mean, we're both military.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had a squadron commander who didn't know how to fly, I mean, I think we have airplanes dropping out of the sky.
We do have, and that's what we're having in this environment.
Yeah.
And something has to change, and you're having people going, look, enough's enough. I am done with all the chaos. So to the part on Mexico, they are critical to it. And what they have to do, one of the things that I ask for, I sit there with the president of Mexico, I go, look, he goes off and says all these wonderful things that they're doing. Oh, we're actually doing more on the border than y'all are doing. We're doing this, and I sit there and I listen and I go, all right, Mr. President, if y'all are doing such a wonderful job, okay, then that means you don't need any foreign aid from us this year. Right, I sit on the appropriations committee. You see his eyes. Well, wait a second here, Tony.
So you had some
little leverage
strings,
there, little leverage there. And then I said, and this is what my ask for you is. Right now, you got people from all over the world coming into Mexico. A lot of Chinese. You're hearing that right now.
Yeah.
Well, how are they getting here? How the hell are they getting from China to California? What's happening is Mexico is giving them visas. They're giving them humanitarian and tourist visas. So they're legally transiting to Mexico. They have legal documentation. They transit through Mexico. And then when they get to the border, they dump all that documentation and they come over illegally. So what I asked the president would go, here's the deal. What I need from you is stop giving out these tourist visas when you know damn well these people ain't coming to see they ain't coming to see the pyramids. You could tell, because I have 2/3 of the Texas-Mexico border. I have 42% of the overall.
Which is about what, 800, 900 miles?
823 miles. I know the problem set inside and out. You could tell he wasn't talking to some senator from the Midwest.
Right.
He was talking to somebody who knows the problem.
Right.
And I wasn't asking him for things that I didn't think he could do. I knew I was asking for something.
So did he agree, or did he say I'll consider it?
This is what he said. He goes. Actually, Tony, we've been criticized for not giving enough visas out. We're actually very stringent on that. All BS, right? But what it did was it checked him. The Biden administration isn't checking these people. Somebody has to check them, and that's what House Republicans need to do. We need to be a check and balance into this equation, and part of it is just calling out the truth. It's like, look,
and having some control over the purse strings.
And having some control over this can go one of two ways.
So if we can't get Border Patrol to actually enforce the border, why don't you cut their budget?
You're not wrong. So what I've looked at is we cannot give blank checks. That doesn't work, because what has happened is DHS takes the money out of operational funds and they siphon it over for these soft-sided facilities, which are magnets, right? So what I've said,
and when you say that, that's like Camp Firefly
and Eagle Pass,
right?
And
it's a big, huge tent. And it probably cost hundreds of thousands of dollars,
literally hundreds of millions of dollars. And these facilities are everywhere.
How many are there in your district?
Oh, we've got one in El Paso that can house 4,800 people. The facility in Eagle Pass is about 1,100 people. They're all over the place. They're all up and down the border because people are getting rich off of this deal. So who's
getting rich? Contractors that are
contractors. Yeah. So Biden administration has given no bid contracts out to their friends, essentially. And in many cases, they're activists. They want this. People don't remember June 25th, 2021. Veronica Escobar from El Paso hosts Vice President Harris, hosts Dick Durbin, Senator Durbin, and Secretary Mayorkas.
Right.
And she goes, "Welcome to El Paso, the new Ellis Island." This isn't an accident, Joe. This is by chance.
This is an ideological 100% movement to basically change the demographics of the United States.
So how do we stop it? You hit it right on the head. You don't go, "I'm not going to cut all your budget." You go, "Here's the deal. If you want money for deportation flights, I'll give you all the money you need to get for deportation flights. If you want money for soft-sided facilities, you're not going to get any of that." So it's not necessarily about the money. It's about where you put the money and what you force them to enforce the law.
I'm going to ask you a hard question.
Yeah, of course.
You're in CD 23, which obviously is a strange animal. You have Democrats, you have Republicans. You got to keep them all happy.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask you a Democrat-leaning question.
Yep, sure.
Okay. Back in 1875, my ancestors transitioned here from Germany.
Yeah.
The entire state of Texas became German.
Sure.
They settled in Hallettsville. Obviously, here in San Angelo, some of them made what they called the German Death March through the Indians and got out here to Wall and Very Best and Miles, and that whole area over there is all pretty much German descent.
Yep.
What's wrong with a little bit of immigration here? I mean,
nothing.
We did the Germans back in 1875.
We should all be talking about legal immigration. The number for illegal immigration should always be zero. We don't want bad actors. We don't want people breaking the law. We don't want drugs. We don't want any of that nonsense. But legal immigration, all of our families have legally come here in some form or fashion. And so I've been a proponent of legal immigration. You want to come here and work? We got a job for you.
Let's talk about that. You know, I mean, I've been around the border 20 years.
Yep.
And one of the issues you hear from constituents in Del Rio of yours, is that our legal immigration system is so broken it takes 17 years for you to become a naturalized citizen. So it's too long. But then again, when the Democrats say, "Hey, remember we had the Gang of Eight back in the 2000s, trying to get these reforms to our immigration system," we don't have the political will, or I guess the political cooperation probably would be it, to get it. I sense that the reason why we can't get reforms to our legal immigration system is because we don't trust Democrats.
No, and here's the thing, Joe. Amnesty doesn't work. It doesn't work. But what you have to do is you have to go, how do you bring somebody that wants to work, not access to voting, not access to social services? If you want to come and work, I wish we could deport people that didn't want to work and import people that want to work, right? And so if you want to come here to work, we got a job for you. We know who you are. You're vetted. You're working in a job that no one else is going to be working in. This is the level, I think, of granularity where you go separate legal from illegal immigration. The people that are doing it the right way shouldn't be in the back of the line when people coming under under the
But
bridge.
how are we going to get there with legislation? Because obviously the system they have in place now doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So step one is we gotta stop this border crisis. I said immigration reform starts with border security. Because what is happening now?
So how would you measure that we've stopped the border crisis?
We haven't.
I know. How would you what would be the benchmark that you would say, okay, all right, we fixed it. Let's go on. Let's work on.
I'll be a little more simple. The benchmark is when my schools don't have to go into lockdown because they're high speed chases. I mean, imagine you're a parent or a grandparent and you get a text message, "Hey, there's a high speed chase. Your school is going into lockdown." We are exhausted in our district. And you know what?
And
Ozona.
I'm thinking about this. We talked about Ozona, but
Yeah.
like Rock Springs. I did a story
Yeah.
a long time ago in Rock Springs. I
Yeah.
mean, he's lucky to have one patrol unit.
Exactly.
Entire Edwards County.
Exactly.
And so, I mean, and you talk to Valverde County Sheriff, Joe Frank Martinez.
Yes.
Now, he'll tell you. I mean, I don't know how many square miles he says it is, but it's huge.
It's
That's a big
huge.
county.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the resources to patrol every corner. So if you're in Juneau and you murder someone, you might get away with it.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And these counties, I represent 29 counties. These counties, some of them are larger than states.
Yeah.
And you got a handful of deputies to be able to track it all. And it's not fair. What's happening is now the deputies are sucked into this immigration stuff and the border security. Well, what about the everyday citizens who are just, they got issued, they're having to deal with certain things to feel safe. Ozona. 100 miles from the border.
Right.
Here you have a smuggler comes and kills, the Tambungas, Emmy and Coke.
And that
Tambunga.
was the grandmother and her 7-year-old
Seven-year-old
granddaughter.
daughter.
So this guy was tracked going 105 miles an hour down I-10. He was eastbound on I-10, being pursued by sheriff. Initially it was DPS, and then the sheriff, the Crockett County Sheriff. And then he exits right there at the main crossroads in Ozona, runs through the red light, hits the Tambungas in their, it was a Ram 1500.
Yep.
And kills them. And I think he killed, one or two?
Several of the different.
He had 11 illegals on board.
Yep.
And in a freaking Chevy pickup. I mean,
I know. And so when people say we impeach Mayorkas this year, third time's a try, right? Try again. Last week we impeached Mayorkas. It was razor thin margin.
And Mayorkas is the Secretary of Homeland Security.
That's right. And it's only the second sitting secretary member that has been impeached ever. And I've always been of the mind, I take that very serious. I've always been of the mindset that impeachment is in case of emergency, break glass. Well, guess what? We're at an emergency. And when someone asks me, well, why would you vote to impeach him? I go, you just try sitting across from the Tambungas. Try sitting across from Melissa and have her tell her story of why her 7-year-old daughter isn't here. And that's just one family, Joe.
Right.
There's hundreds. What about all the people dying of fentanyl?
Right.
I mean, this is a systematic thing that's occurring.
And one of the things that's happening,
poisoning us.
We don't hear about a lot of these crashes that are involving our law enforcement because there's not a whole lot of media out there.
I know.
I mean, you're kind of in these media deserts. I mean, you got this Mr. I guess it's Ruiz down in Eagle Pass.
Yeah.
He's trying real hard.
Sure.
You have Josh Langston in 830 Times in Del Rio. They're trying.
Yep.
But I mean, there's not a lot of resources for media. So when these crashes happen, we don't hear about it.
We don't. And it's what I've said is, what about us? What about the people that live here? And it's not just on the border. I know everyone's talking about Eagle Pass and some of these border communities. It's everywhere, to include San Angelo, to include Midland, to include these small El Dorado.
A couple months ago, Sheriff Nick Hanna, he's the Tom Green County Sheriff, he sent me some pictures from the bus station over here.
Okay.
And it was all illegals.
Wow.
And
Doesn't surprise me.
And then, I'm very involved in our airport community. I'm a general aviation pilot.
Yep.
I get pictures all the time of airliners coming in.
Yep.
And they're just loading up strange people into the. And one of the guys at the terminal building said that they'll come in groups of 12, 24, hop on an American Eagle flight out of here, going to Philadelphia. Wherever.
I think you hit it on the head. Look, this isn't a new topic for us. Any of us that live and work in South and West Texas our whole lives, we've seen this. We've never seen it like this. We are compassionate people. We're all about people that want to better their lives. But there is a lot of bad actors in this as well. And so what about us? There is a Venezuelan gang No one's talking about it right now, Joe.
Okay.
3 years from now, everyone's going to be talking about this.
It's kind of like the MS-13 of the future.
MS-13. You know MS-13. Everyone knows MS-13. So this Venezuelan gang, these guys gobble up MS-13 folks. Okay, that's how bad they are.
Okay.
They're called the Tran de Agua and TDA. And these folks.
What does that mean in English?
So it's
Something in water?
No, it's not Agua. I thought it was Agua at first, but it's Aragua. And Aragua is a province. It's like one of the states.
Okay,
in
so it's named after a
Venezuela.
place in Venezuela.
Exactly, a state in Venezuela. And so these guys are terrible, terrible people. And so they're coming over in drones. What is happening is you've got these bad actors. You know, you saw what happened in New York. You know, you've got these gangs that are popping up everywhere. So one of the things that I'm working on is going back to, what are you doing? You know, you're running for re-election. Why the hell do you deserve another shot at representing us? I'm making sure that these Venezuelan gangs are not in Texas. And I'm working.
Well, how do you do that as a congressman? I mean, you have no executive enforcement arm.
This is what you do: task forces. You do task forces with federal government, state, federal law enforcement, state, and local law enforcement.
So you get money, you get grant money to
them,
like a sheriff and say, hey, build a task force.
Well, it's not just a sheriff. It's your federal agencies that often have the most, let's say, analysts and tools, and they got the bells and whistles, right?
Right.
Because they're the feds. And then you got the sheriff, who's just the guy on the ground, but he knows everywhere, right? He knows, hey, well, I know this family. Yeah, he knows the ins and outs. You piece all those together. Right now, everyone is fighting this war in a silo. It's almost like, how do we use land, air, sea, bring everything together and tackle these folks? I don't want to see these TDA. I'll call them TDA. It's easier that way. I don't want to see these TDA folks.
Say it again. What it is?
Tran de Agua.
Okay, I will never be able to pronounce that for a while.
We don't want these guys here.
Yeah.
These are bad people, and don't think for a second that they won't be in our small towns. That's one of the things. That
Are they drug dealers? Are they human trafficking? I mean, all of the above? Or?
They're all of the above. Whatever, they're these criminal organizations. They're all about making money, fast money. Whatever that is, if that's human smuggling, if that's drugs, if that's whatever it is, that's what they want to do.
All right, so we have a police chief who went to prison, and he wrote me a letter. And in the letter, I probably shouldn't tell all of it. I'm going to tell you everything that was in the letter.
Sure.
But one of the things he said, he's in a federal lockup in Georgia.
Damn.
And he said that the illegal immigrants control the federal prisons.
Yeah.
I mean, if they control the prisons, what's next?
You know what? This is the scary part, is because of Joe Biden's open borders, this is the part that long-term he is creating. Short-term, we see the short-term. We talked about the Tambungas. We talked about the damage that it's caused, all the different folks gobble up all the resources. But long-term, these criminal organizations are getting stronger and stronger.
And they're getting set inside deep
cities,
inside.
Deep inside.
So the cities, it won't be safe to walk down the street.
It already isn't. I was in El Paso. I represent 60% of El Paso County. El Paso, very blue city, right?
Right.
Very, and they're all
You get a lot of votes out of El Paso?
Not as many as I need to. Why I'm spending more time out in West Texas. But here's the thing. I was in El Paso where it was like 6 a.m, and we're driving to our first stop with the sheriff, the sheriff's department, and there's about 24 people just roaming around like zombies, and you're going, look, I don't know what's going on, but just did not feel safe, and that's not fair. What about us? We don't feel safe.
What about Americans?
What about Americans?
Right.
What about the Americans that live here? All of a sudden, everyone's getting all these benefits and getting all these. They're getting put to the front of the line. You're busting your butt. You're working your tail off. You're putting your boots on. You're going to work, and all of a sudden, you're getting last.
One of the things that we get accused of being as Republicans is not having any compassion.
Sure.
And obviously, was it your first term or second term? This will be your second.
I'm halfway through my second term.
Okay, so right there in the beginning of your second term, so you barely got your feet wet.
Yep.
We had this tragic shooting at the school in Uvalde.
Yep.
How do you, as a Republican, handle that? And obviously, Republicans are very pro Second Amendment.
Of course.
And that's going into this Republican primary, it's very pro Second Amendment. I would
of course.
imagine. How do you I guess, straddle that with having compassion?
This is what I've said is legal, law-abiding citizens need to have access. They deserve to have access to their constitutional rights. Now, don't put them in the same category as some of these people that are murdering people. Like, you have to separate the two. And in the case of the Uvalde shooting, I helped pass this piece of legislation that would have prevented the Uvalde shooting. Yeah.
Was this the piece that you worked on with Cornyn?
It was the Safest Community Act. And the reason I voted for the Safest Community Act were a couple things. One is that shooter should have never got access to that AR-15.
Now, the shooter was 18 years old.
He was just turned 18.
And there's an argument in the Texas House that they should raise the age of buying a gun from 18 to 21. And people see that, the Second Amendment guys see that as a domino. The domino falls and everything goes to it.
I've actually been against raising the age limit. I've been against banning any hardware, because some people said, oh, you can have access to this or the other. I've been against any excess due process. It's all about due process. If you're a law-abiding citizen, you should have access to all these things. Now, if you're,
I mean, we might need it. We might need it to protect ourselves from these Venezuelans.
We already need it.
Yeah.
We already do. But if you are a kid with mental health illnesses, you do not need access to a gun. And people that sell guns, we're the first ones to tell you, hell, I don't want to give any guns to somebody that's going to go shoot up our schools. So there's a balance.
Yeah. In the wake of Uvalde, obviously it's turned into a big political football.
Sure,
and
it has.
And that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yep.
We had a child here that was killed, from here, that was killed in Uvalde. I guess part of his dad lived here. Mom or adopted parents lived in Uvalde.
Yeah.
But people, we're having a shooting like every other day now.
Yeah, I know.
So what the heck?
This is what I've said. I've said our kids deserve to feel safe in school. And we deserve to, you can protect the Constitution and you can protect our kids in school. It does not have to be either or. And anyone trying to sell you either or is lying to you. We can protect both. How do you do that? You prevent bad actors from getting a hold of guns, and you give access to those that do. The facts is the killing stops when a second gun enters the equation. So one of the things that I've looked at, and I've got 119 cities and towns in this district. It's massive. Every school district is completely different than the next. Some school districts, they want a fence and razor wire 10 feet high. Other school districts, they don't want their schools to look like prisons. Some school districts, they want their teachers armed with this Guardian program. Other school districts don't. So the way I've recently put a piece of legislation that gives those school districts that have Guardian programs, that have their teachers armed, it gives them access to training, gives them access to basically train their teachers to be more proficient. So it boils down to this. We have to protect our kids. We have to. I've got 6 kids. I'm invested. And don't think for a second what happened in Uvalde can happen to your town, right? So we got to get ahead of it.
I'll just tell you that this issue right here, when you talk to our police chief, Frank Carter, he will tell you this: the thing that keeps him up at night is something happening at one of the schools inside the city limits of San Angelo.
I know.
He said that is the one thing that we're not prepared to handle. And of course, it was a little bit of a botched job in Uvalde, a lot of criticism. I won't get into it. But I mean, the law enforcement guys here looked at that and said, we got to make sure we're ready.
That's exactly right. One of the things that I had just gotten elected, I went all over and I was asking folks, I go, judges, mayors, community leaders, I said, if there's one thing I could do for you, what would that be? And everyone had different things. Oh, we need a new road. We need water. We need whatever, these different things. Guess what the city of Uvalde asked me for?
What?
A mental health facility. They already knew their community had a mental health issue before that shooting even occurred. One of the things that I've done in Congress, and I'm very proud of this, is we allotted several $1 million to build a new mental health facility in Uvalde. Guess what? Out here in West Texas, we don't have access.
No, we don't.
They do not exist. We have the same issues that everyone else does.
We have a homeless camp and it's like a permanent encampment up there on
Yes.
the north side of town.
Yes.
And we don't have adequate resources to handle mental health. Although I don't want to throw it back and say mental health is the whole issue behind the antidote to gun control. Or the opposite of it. I mean, we need both. I mean, I don't think we need gun control per se, but we do need smart weapons laws that
Meaningful stuff.
Meaningful stuff. Now, one more thing.
Yep.
You get criticized for that Cornyn legislation that you helped craft.
Sure.
All the time. That's all I hear.
Yeah.
So give me, just before we go,
Yep.
just kind of describe the battlefield you were up against when Uvalde happened.
So, I mean, first off, I met with family members the day after. I met with a family member the day after the Uvalde shooting. I'm in his living room. He had just lost his daughter. He wanted to meet with me, and I meet with him. First thing out of his mouth, Joe, was make sure they don't take my guns away. I was like, holy smokes. He just lost a daughter. I meet with another family member later on in that week. First thing out of their mouth was, Tony, make sure you ban every AR that exists. Welcome to the 23rd district, where it's just all across the board. So I've looked at it this way: is that piece of legislation, red flag? I'm against red flag laws, and here in the city,
and a red flag law is like the Bernie, what was it, the Bernie syndrome, or the movie where you can predict a crime.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can get arrested for a crime you didn't commit, but you might commit.
That's right. That's
Basically.
right.
Or you can have your rights taken away for a crime that you didn't commit, but they think you might commit.
Exactly. There's too much what if, right? So I'm against red flag laws. Here in the state of Texas, we don't have red flag laws. So one of the things that I get criticized for, there was funding in there for red flag laws. Well, guess what? That funding ain't ever coming to Texas because it doesn't exist. What was in that bill was billions of dollars for mental health awareness and school safety. This is the problem, though, Joe. We passed that bill, and very little of that money has come from Washington to our schools. So guess what? It doesn't exist. Until we have a resource officer in there, until we have the mental health facilities, until our schools have bulletproof windows and our single lock doors. There's a new campus. I was visiting a new campus in San Antonio. You push one button and every door in that school locks. Well, we need that everywhere, right? So one of the things that I've advocated for is how do we bring those dollars home? My job as a member of Congress, is to go up there and fight the wokeness and impeach Mayorkas and line them all up and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I have a great time doing that. But it's also, what are you doing for Texas? How are you making our schools safe? How are you making our communities more safe than where they are? Keeping these bad actors out of there, protecting our kids. Those are the kind of things that I've been working very hard to deliver in that way.
All right, so you're going to win this election, this primary. It's on March 5th. Early voting started today. You're going to win?
All we do is win. All we do is win. I've been on the ballot 6 times, and this is my 6th time, and I'm 5-0 for a reason. We work our guts out.
You lost the first time?
No. This is the 6th time. So this is the 6th time I'm on the ballot. We have Give me 2 weeks, I'll come back.
All right, so you're undefeated.
I'm undefeated for a reason. We work our guts out. I go to all these towns, big or small. We deliver over and over again. I got an army of young conservative warriors out there knocking every door they can find. And at the end of the day, it's about results. People know the problem. Hey, I know the border's open. What are you doing to fix it? We got Border Patrol agents a pay raise. They had never gotten a pay raise. Our bill got that over the finish line. It's the little things. We've delivered water for some areas. Some people didn't even have indoor plumbing. The list goes on, but it's my honor to serve in Congress. And, it was my honor to serve in the military, served 20 years in the Navy. I work a lot for the different services. Del Rio, Laughlin's so critical to that community. Every Air Force pilot that gets made is trained in Laughlin Air Force
Most
Base.
of them. They have some that are trained in Mississippi, don't they?
Yeah, a handful of them. We don't count them, though.
We don't count them. Anyway, this has been Tony Gonzalez. He's the congressman for Congressional District 23 that spans from San Antonio to El Paso along the Texas-Mexico border. Very interesting discussion on the border. And good luck on early voting's today.
Get out there and vote.
This is February 20th. And
if you're going to vote for me, get out there and vote. If you're not going to vote for me, go and sit this one out.
Anyway, the election day is March 5th.
That's it.
For the Republican primary, are you going to have a Democrat opponent?
We have a couple already.
All right, so they're lining up.
They never go away. They never go away.
Well, thank you for coming on the show,
Thanks,
Tony.
Joe. Appreciate you.
Now back to the studio.
It's hard to believe how reckless some people can be and how hard they fight against real victims. You need a partner who consistently beats the giants and who will never, ever flinch.
When it comes to unique pieces you can't find anywhere else, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is your one-stop shop. With over 24 years in the diamond and coin industry, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is West Texas's choice for diamonds, jewelry, coins, silver, and gold. Owner Bill Kano stands by his work and offers free consultations, including estate jewelry. Don't just trust anyone with your valuables. Come see the staff at Kano's at 1016 West Beauregard in San Angelo.
Thanks for watching the only locally owned news show in the Concho Valley. We really appreciate your feedback in the comment section and letters to the editor. Thanks again for making San Angelo Live the #1 news source in the Concho Valley. We look forward to bringing you all the news again through 2024, first, as always. Have a great evening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.